Greetings comic lovers and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old to history to anecdotes to really wherever our whims take us. Month 2, it's Future State wrap-up time. It's time for the reveal that some of you were completely right. That is those of you who are thinking that a bunch of these were essentially going to be self-encapsulated, loosely connected tales, paced to get all of their info out in 2 to 4 issues. Good job. So let's finish off Pastel Goth Harley. And I can tell you right now, for those of you who are floating around fan theories, save them for things like WandaVision. Because for many of these Future State tales, what you see is what you get. Translation, no, she isn't Punchline. Ready to see how our Scarecrow and Harley Quinn team up ends? Alright. But before we get started, I'm Sasha, and if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Join us on this comic book journey. In our first part, we talked about the art and the pacing and some of the character tone and the like. So if you missed that, card and link, but I will of course provide you with some catch-up clip notes. In Gotham, which is under the heel of the Magistrate who has outlawed masks, Harley Quinn was captured and put to work by former Scarecrow Jonathan Crane, who is now working for the Magistrate, capturing former masks. She aids him as he builds up to taking down his big target, Black Mask. Issue 2 conclusion, go! Black Mask has a sweet and entirely unnecessary cape on this cover that cuts through a costume Jonathan Crane's fear gas, and him and Harley lay at his feet. Exciting! Nicely drawn. I'm already here though. But if I'd skipped this one and saw this cover, I might consider it. More Infinite Frontier promos. What is going on with perspective on Naomi? Don't do Naomi like that. Hi, John Stewart. The creative team on this one is the same as the last one, only we've added an artist. Simone DeMio is joined by Tony Infante. We open on someone having a nice and lusciously colored dinner, as the coloring and layout is still very animated storyboard-esque, as it was in part 1. However, this dinner is interrupted by Black Mask, who has poisoned the food with succinylcholine, which I was thrilled by, because it gave me a chance to say succinylcholine without having to be recapping an episode of Forensic Files to my friends. Black Mask menacingly shares a Greek myth as allegory for how the man was siphoning off the funds he had given him to the Magistrate. And that kind of behavior not only gets you paralyzed, it gets your throat slit. How do I look? Take that off. Jonathan Crane and Harley Quinn are at the crime scene. Because Crane seems to have higher level clearance than others, it's never fully explained what his rank is. He's brought Harley, who he's come to trust more and more, to help him in his quest to understand and hence take down Black Mask. Harley presents the theory that a man like Rowan who wears a mask like that is used to instilling fear and not feeling it. And perhaps a good counter to him would actually be the Scarecrow. I'm not wearing a mask. Especially not that mask. Geez, can't test the evidence, can't play with the corpse, can't wear the scary Scarecrow mask, and dose everyone with fear toxins. So Harley proposes another answer. Track the masks. If Black Mask is using all of these masks on his gang, just leaving them places as calling cards, he must be manufacturing them somewhere. Harley remembers a place that her and the Joker used to get their masks made back in the day, back when they were giving out clown masks on masks. And well, huzzah for plot convenience and time, it's the only place this could be happening in this story. So they go there because cutting off the supply to his masks means look, a sentry bot that's been corrupted and turns on Crane's men. This is your fault, Quinn. Is it though? Suddenly, Black Mask is there via holographic message to taunt Crane that while following the mask was a clever idea, he thinks that was a Harley idea and not Crane's. The Scarecrow partnered with the Joker's girlfriend. Quite the pair you two make. It's proving more interesting in concept than in practice, actually. He claims that he was several points ahead of them, that he knew they would go for the masks. What, did they leave the shipping order to his hideout on their desk? What was the main plan here? What was the long game? I'm struggling. He can't smuggle in masks for anywhere else? This truly is the one mask factory? This isn't striking me as genius level as much as the comic seems to want me to think that it is. Anyway, Black Mask wants to take back the city from the Magistrate. This failure proves too much for Crane, who it turns out was just one failure away from reverting back to his Scarecrow persona. He was keeping the costume in his office, you know, just in case. A mask is afraid of a mask. You were the Scarecrow for how long? How is this a novel concept? Black Mask, Harley Quinn, the Magistrate. Ooh, look, he's a sad anime villain now. Here for it. I've done everything Harley said. She didn't make you do anything. You came to her for advice and then you followed it. This is why they tell you not to give advice to people. Or you should if you want to manipulate them very simply, apparently. Because yes, he done got played. Harley and her bite me bat are on the streets. The narration box says she was released, but she says she broke out. Which is it? It ultimately doesn't end up mattering. She goes to the Gotham docks to find Black Mask and he's there. The panels then do something they did far more in part 1. They get long and thin, which is not the most optimal reading experience at times, as it can lead to things feeling a bit squished. In general, part 2 is more paneled in a comic book story manner while maintaining that animated feel than part 1 was. The balance is a bit more there. This panel where he's asking why he should hide from Jonathan Crane looks like they're about to kiss. And to that I say, no thank you. He says that she's bait, which somehow would imply that Crane let her go, or when she escaped she was being monitored or followed or tracked somehow. None of that is ever stated, it's only ever intimated. So if it is happening, I just need to assume it is. Cause Crane is there in full Scarecrow mode, blasting his toxin. What terrors do you see? And so they fight, but Harley at first seems to be helping Black Mask, but then turns on him too. No, she isn't affected by the toxin, not because she's Punchline, but probably because of that poison ivy immunity that filtered in over into the comics from the TV series. The comics just assumes you know that though, because she's just not affected and they never mention it. That you're just like, she fears nothing. Some commenters last time pointed out that this version of Harley looks like Tank Girl, and they're 100% correct. So Harley cracks Black Mask's mask, takes Scarecrow's, who she has knocked out, doses Roman, and pieces out, taking his mask with her. That's Scarecrow's mask. Jonathan comes around to Black Mask being carted off, and he realizes that he got played after we all did, because Harley is chaotic neutral. Chaotic good? No, chaotic neutral. Harley Quinn has ruined me. I guess because he'll be arrested too, even though nobody's making any moves to do so? I don't know. And so Harley is off, ditching the Scarecrow's mask in a dumpster, ending on a joke of, I never did like masks. La fin. Okay, so the Harley element of this tale works. The chaotic agent out for herself with no real allegiance to anyone is a fun take, and it plays well against this dystopian setting. The whole who is playing who angle between her and Crane never fully pans out. It stays more in a conceptual form, and part 2 quickly swings the ball into her court and leaves it there. The story overall, even for as simple as the premise was, feels like chunks are missing, left on the proverbial cutting room floor to save time. Details are left out, and there are lots of questions left unanswered. It gives this tale more of a random Elseworlds vibe, just a concept placed there for you to consume and not ponder too hard. Kind of a, if you like Harley Quinn, it's worth it type deal. But it doesn't feel like it adds a lot to the Future State event as a whole, if it's even meant to be viewed as a whole at this point. If you're hoping to get more depth into, say, Crane's motivations or Black Mask's, this will not give that to you. Most of the details about everything are left for the reader to infer. And you can infer some interesting things, but that does leave the story feeling a bit barren. It feels like it's more meant to be an experience than something one is meant to hunker down and get overly immersed in. I am curious as to the question of why did they change artists? You can see the difference in which part they drew, though they do maintain styles similar to one another. But why? If it's for a narrative purpose, it flew over my head, and if it was for some kind of contractual or scheduling thing, I didn't hear about it. So if you know, tell me. This ending all in all pushed the tale into the okay category. A fun if predictable romp with cool art that shifted midway through, but was still cool. I see you, anime style Crane. I appreciate you. Just a note, Black Mask said daddy in this comic to cement that I will never escape the term daddy. But those are just my thoughts and I want to hear yours. What did you think of Future State Harley Quinn? Did you enjoy it? Did it cement concerns for Future State? Or why you're enjoying it? Do you need more sad boy Crane? Still convinced this was Punchline? Need a Tank Girl Harley Quinn crossover? Just tell me all the things, all your thoughts and feelings. I want to read them. And while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time of your day to spend it discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.